On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're going to tell you how to get your welfares from the Spirit Leaf Festival. And also, a Grail Live Pre-game, because I don't trust them not to announce it at a convention. Hello, I am one of your hosts. I am the producer Omega. With me as always, the manager Lucky.
Everyone, I hope you are enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka Can't Say Idle Without I. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest and FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EM versions of the game, so anyone not fond of spoilers should remember to be clean, courteous, and collected at cons. I almost ran out of breath.
It's a lot of C's.
It was a lot of C's. I like alliteration.
I'm also not sure it picked up on the mic when you did the I joke, and I was like, ha ha. I get it. But yes, welcome to another lovely episode of Let's Talk FGO. Every week on Saturday. Early for patrons Friday. I would have set a time there, but I know for a fact that it's not at a set time. It's just whenever the hell I actually, am fully awake, out of bed, ready to go, ready to push buttons. My computer's turned on. Sometimes a little bit of lag, hoping Robyn's posted the time codes. Anyway, that'll make a great joke there to see if Robyn has indeed posted the time codes by the time I make this episode public. But speaking of our external support, before we get started, I would like to give a quick shout out to our patrons, like Adam DeHart, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Icebird, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV 9000, Just of the Fate, Jonathan Sandoval, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Trevor, Sunprior, some guy named Bob, and Varian the Crow. If you like what we do and want to see more, consider supporting us on Patreon and get access to us early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out and supports us. Thank you for your support. Alright, well, we're getting started early, we're recording, we got stuff to do, let's just keep moving swiftly on down the line. It's funny how the show notes become a line that goes straight down. That means it's time to check out with everybody's favorite go-hi, Mesh.
Senpai! 起きてください.
Soon to be Idle Mesh. Anyway, that means it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai Racer for pro tips. I don't really have anything in particular today, just, I don't know, keep up on your rank ups and dailies. I know it sometimes is asking a lot to do those 3 little daily quests a day, but it's gonna get more important as time goes on, so it's important to remember them. And also, rank ups are cool. They got a rank up campaign going on right now, and some pretty good stuff in it. I'll explain it later. But we're gonna jump straight through. No records, no evils. It's been hunting quests and rank ups for the past week, so not really a lot going on.
Yeah.
But that means we can check in with, did you finish your master missions? To finish your master missions, defeat 3 Knight-class servants, Saber, Archer, Lancers. Defeat 3 Cavalry-class servants, Riders, Casters, Assassins, or Berserkers. Defeat 15 Wild Beast enemies, 15 Demonic Trait enemies, 15 Male enemies, and then put a Berserker in your party and complete 5 quests. So, all of these you could have cleared on the hunting quests, but if you didn't clear them on the hunting quests, you are now SOL, because those are, daily and over. So if you want to clear this up, it's really simple. Just do Fuyuki, I think, XF a bunch, and Bordeaux and Orleans a bunch. That'll get you all your Wild Beast and Demonic and stuff. Very simple, very easy on your AP. Just get your beautiful master missions in. Oh, we'll discuss that later. But that means it's time to scooch into the news.
Scooch.
Our first scoot is probably one of the ones you guys are all here to be excited for. In JP, they have launched what I have seen translated several different ways. The Evocations Festival, the Spirit Tour Festival. Anyway, the Leaf Festival, because leaves are involved. Part 1, by the way. Explicitly calling this Part 1. Starting the 2nd, going until the 9th. So, first of all, they have added the Spirit Leaf Shop. So, the Spirit Leaves, we discussed them last time, they said was going to be the exchange for welfares and stuff. They have added them to the shop permanently, I assume in DaVinci shop menu. Just got a little Spirit Leaf exchange. So, here's your going rates that have been reported to me. It's going to be 200 leaf per copy of a welfare, 50 leaf for each of their ascension mats, and also for 10 servant coins, you are capped at 480 servant coins, so you can exchange it 48 times. If you get extra copies of the welfare, i.e. you're already at NP5, you do not get rare prisms for it, as you usually do with reruns and stuff. So, if you want to get one of the welfares with NP5, max ascension, all coins, that'll run you 3,600 leaf.
That's a lot.
It is a lot of currency, but there's a few ways to get the leaf. How do you get leaves? We got a couple. So, first of all, they've got a daily login campaign, and basically every day is a new login bonus. They're not sequential or anything. They're specifically tied to dates. So, depending on what day it is, this will get you either 30, 50, or 100 leaf per day, and also some Saint Courts in units of 6 and 9. Nice. For a total of 30. So if you basically log in every day for the month, or log in at least on specific days in JP, you will rock a 10 pull, which is nice. There's also limited master missions until the 16th of April to do free quests, to do ember quests, or get embers, and to get 30 total in there. Oh no, I'm reading that wrong. Level Writer, Kentucky Simulcats, or Caster Shootin, etc. That will get you a total of 100 leaf, another 30 Saint Quartz, and a Grail. So these limited master missions are important. I assume they're retroactive if you already had Kentucky Simulcats, or Caster Shootin, etc. Also, there is a permanent master mission update for every Part 1 story cleared, including Solomon, for 500 leaf each. I expect this will also eventually turn into EOR and Lost Belt ones as well. Mm-hmm. And this totals 4,500 leaf bucks. So, if you are through Part 1, no matter what in JP, you will have enough for at least one everything welfare. Not enough for, all three of them, but enough for one to get started. And also, permanent daily mission update. Now, every daily mission you complete gets you 1 leaf, and if you do all 3, you get 30 leaves.
Oh.
So, 33 leaf per day. Obviously, that's still going to take you a while to, get your copies, but that's why they have, milestones and other rewards. But roughly a week's worth of work should get you enough for at least 1 copy of a welfare, so that's not bad.
It is progress.
Yeah. And obviously, like I said, this is explicitly Part 1. The permanent master mission rewards only go through Part 1 of the story, as we are about to enter Ordeal Call sometime this year. That means that there will almost assuredly be other, campaigns which will give you other big dumps of leaves as they add in old welfares. I do not think the intent of the system is, unless you play FGO literally every day and actually do something every day in it, you are probably not going to be able to afford every welfare in the backlog. But if you are missing specific welfares who are good, or you just missed a rerun or something that are older, this is a pretty good way for you to get specific welfares back, which is nice, especially because, as we noted, they did start with, Samba Cats, Writer Kentucky, and Caster Shootin, all of whom are pretty good.
Actually, this system probably has been in the works for a while. They're now starting to unload it. This is probably the reason why they're deciding not to necessarily rerun events anymore. Not the reason, but a reason why they feel like they don't need to rerun events anymore. I don't know how quickly they're going to roll out the welfares, but
depending on it's one of those weird things where obviously they could be trying to do a lot of content all at once, in which case probably after 4.9 it'll be Part 2 and they'll start another batch, or maybe it'll be monthly because there's the monthly logins that go until basically the 30th of the year. There's also another date. But to comment on what you said before I go into the next bullet point, yeah, I'm not sure which came first, the chicken and the egg scenario, but definitely this must have been what they were planning when they decided they were not doing as many reruns anymore, right? It's been said, it was said in statements, interviews and stuff like that on streams, that they don't want to focus as much on reruns because I'm sure they understand that their player base is not as engaged by those. So they're trying to,
unfortunately.
It is true. It's interesting to see this kind of progression in general, but I know that in NA anyway, there are a lot of gacha games that are just shuttering. And it's from a lot of different companies, both in global releases, and I believe a few that are still in Japan, as I think the market kind of contracts. FGO obviously features these, really low points when they've got absolutely nothing going on, but as we've gone through the years, both ourselves as players and I think a lot of our audience are just generally electrified less by reruns. Obviously, if you're newer and you straight up weren't playing when the original version of event played, cool. Sometimes there's new banner servants that are put in. I know a lot of people when the Prisma rerun came were like, oh shit, this is our one chance to get Miu, let's go. But other times, not as, feisty, as fiery.
Mm-hmm.
I know I definitely put less effort into reruns when they happen, though obviously there are still, usually a decent enough chance to get some stuff out there. But new events also, yeah, people very fiery about Fujino. That was very, very spiced. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of see them trying to adapt to the market contracting in a way. And I think this is a good one. In general, much like how we got servant coins early, I strongly suspect they will make attempts to implement this system earlier than 2 years in NA. I'm not going to be calling my shot when, but the way they've scheduled this out in JP, this feels like a system that is agnostic to our current story progress in NA, right? The master missions are only queued up through part 1, so they don't need to worry about us clearing lost belts or anything, the master mission update can go in there early, and they can probably work on some other stuff, and none of these welfares are particularly recent, but in NA, we've already passed the double runtime on all of them, so it works. We do also have some extra stuff, though. First of all 3 welfares get double EXP. You also get double suck chance and half QP on leveling for everybody, and half AP Ember specifically on Rider, Saber, and Caster Archer Ember gatherings until the 16th. So 2 solid weeks of this. And assuming that the wiki was not making a goof, all 3 of the welfares that are in this campaign get a 50% damage bonus on all quests until the 21st of May. So you've got over a month of free 50% damage.
Damage.
Yeah. Especially on some of those units. Also, Sambaquette's costumes are now added to the MP shop, which is interesting, and I think a good way to handle it.
Well, yeah.
And you do get some summon banners. As you might expect for welfares being, alternate versions of permanent units, there's a Kentoki Suna banner, there's a Shuten Ibaraki banner, and there's a Ket's Summer Artha banner. The least summer servant ever. But yes, they've got a wombo combo of any of their, 5-star limited or story-locked versions if you want to pick up on those units, which feels appropriate and probably very useful. But yeah, overall, that's the system for it. And while I know we have been asking for this for a while, it seems pretty robust. I wonder about the currency inflation, why is it 200 leaves for a copy of a welfare, and not, say, 20 leaves? But I guess it makes the daily easier to do the 33, when you've got unit cohesion like that. It does mean that if you are a person who is real anal retentive about numbers, you're probably going to have, large pools of spirit leaves waiting in your inventory. Also, if you are a, current player who keeps up on at least all your new events, it doesn't seem like there's any particular thing to do with these except get your coins, but this is the only way to basically get your welfare coins, so it's pretty solid. And in general, very free-to-play friendly. There's no requirement to have specific units in here. The master missions, the login campaign, both permanent and limited master missions, are very simple. I hope that if they continue future parts of this, it stays relatively simple and straightforward. So this will be the thing. Apart from Grail casting, obviously, which we still don't have over here, though I believe that will be this anniversary for us. But other than the Grail casting wait, this and Advanced Quests, which give you the drop CEs, this is probably going to be on everybody's list of when we're going to get it. Ow, punch my.
Yeah.
I tried to do an excited, fist shaky gesture, but accidentally punched my mic arm. Don't worry, chat, I'm okay. But yes, it's very accessible, and, if you are starting out fresh, it kind of snowballs, You get a little bit of action, you just make sure to do all your dailies for a week. You can buy 1 copy of a servant, start leveling them, use your extras to get those ascension mats, maybe a little infusion during the campaign, and then you've got, a really good single target caster, a really good single target rider, a generic AoE farming ruler, which is pretty strong. I know that even though she was not damage focused, Jean carried me through a lot of part 1 content by virtue of just not dying, so there's a lot of merit here. But we're going to transition over to NA, because we are also in a little bit of a build-up period. Not quite as exciting as the new Evocation Festival, but Rank Up Quest 13 does have some stuff in it, and they're doing a couple of interesting things here. So this started the 5th and will go until the 9th, basically, though there's some campaigns that will run a little longer. But first of all, before I get into what the rank ups are and what those mean, something very interesting happening here. While it is all the same units, Like, it has all the same cards and stuff. They appear to have changed up the order of
Really?
when these rank ups are being revealed. Yes, in JP it started with Vlad. Also, they're doubling up. They're doing 2 or 3 every other day as opposed to 1 every day.
Okay.
Very interesting.
That is interesting.
I'm not really sure why. I don't know if they're, like, experimenting for future JP stuff, or they're just like, oh, the NA players don't have the attention span to log in every day for a little bit of content. We'll give them bigger content blocks. I mean, I would not be shocked, given they have access to, like, the server-side data and everything, that, like, maybe there's a swell of people only once several rank-ups come out, you know? Just because, obviously, you don't always have all units. But, your rank-ups as listed are, first of all, Moriarty's first skill now gives him Ignore Defense for 1 turn, and 10 to 20 stars. The Ignore Defense is cute, but the star battery is actually needed because he's got a skill that needs stars. It's his battery skill. Kind of important. So this kind of rounds that kid out. Lancer Alter also got a buff. Her mana burst is now 3 times 3 turns. Keeping in mind when maxed out, that was 55% buster up for 1 turn. That is now 3 times 3 turns. And also is a 20% battery. I'm pretty sure this is the start of JP sticking 20% battery on everybody, so get ready to hear that note a lot until forever, chat. I think eventually they start going to like a 30%, but, you know, the 20%, very common.
Mm-hmm.
Upcoming days, Ketz's Charisma is now going to give 15 to 25 stars when dropped. I mean, no, Axe, it was 1 turn before, so you were going to use it a maximum of 3 times anyway. This is now, you can either use it for the NPBB turn, or you can use it spread out over 3 turns, if your cards don't line up. It also, because it's a battery, it works out better, because maybe you don't fire your NP right away. But yeah, Ketz's Charisma is going to give 15 to 25 stars now, which is good. It's already an A+ Charisma, so it's actually plus 21% attack when fully maxed out, and stars are good. But we've also got a lot of NP buffs here, which are going to follow a theme you're going to pick up on very quickly, chat, but also, in general, really good. Yan King is going to get his NP buff. That means he's going to get more damage multiplier, which is really good on the quick NPs, obviously. It'll also decrease the targeted enemy's quick resistance by 20% for 3 turns, and give himself 50% crit damage up for 3 turns. So getting some real follow-through. Vlad is going to get his second NP buff. That's right, they already buffed it once. They're going to buff it some more. This will, once again, amp up his damage. He gets another damage multiplier out of it. And also, he's going to do 20% arts res down for 3 turns.
No, like I said, this is them trying to fix a little bit of, I want to say Vlad's problem is that as a single target berserker, he wasn't necessarily putting out the same amount of damage that others were, so they had to kind of give him a little bit more. Give him a little bit more.
It is interesting that they have, basically put forward this buff immediately after another permanent single-target Arts Berserker, though, obviously, Galatea has a very different kit in general. It does mean on damage potential, Vlad, with both buffs, does outpace Galatea, but obviously, to get both buffs, you have to, fully level and max him out anyway, and then do the extra quests, so, it's not like a one is I mean, math-wise, yes, Vlad is better, but it's not one of those things where, like, oh, well, if you don't have one, you should only go for the other. It's more of like, well, if you have a Vlad's real good.
I mean, I believe
Galatea will also get a NP buff in about a year. Or maybe less.
They're trying to keep things relevant.
Yeah. I think it's more a sign of, like, where Vlad was still lagging behind, that they were like, oh, shit. Right, they put out Galatea, a brand new unit in that same role, being single-target Arch Berserker, and they're like, oh man, Vlad's still way behind, we gotta get him buffs, and then they realize, like, oh, now Vlad's way ahead, you gotta balance it out. It happens sometimes with game balance. Rama's gonna get a buff as well. NP buff, more damage, and you guessed it, Buster Res down by 20% for 3 turns. But also, if you hit a demonic enemy with it, you reduce their charge by 1 turn. That is guaranteed. So, focusing on that special trait effect. It already does bonus damage to demonic, so it works out. And, a very important buff, our only low rarity unit on this, Kojiro will finally get his debuff purge. It will not just be mental debuffs anymore.
Yay.
Also, that will give him an on-hit debuff for 10% quick res down for 3 turns on his quick cards. So just use more quick cards, get more quick resistance down Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing.
Also, I don't remember if JP had a summon banner for this, but we have a summon banner, and it's Moriarty and Lancer Alter, so I assume this is why they moved some stuff around, because it makes a better banner.
True.
So, Also, actually, by the way, decent banner. Lancer Alter, a story-locked unit who is a pretty good 4-star Lancer if you need to do AoE. She does do a lot of damage. Moriarty, limited unit. Pretty good at his job. After, after like 3 or 4 buffs. He's pretty good at his job. Also, our last bit of news, not like a full news. Technically, some of this should be out by the time we get the show out to you tomorrow, but I don't actually know how much news it'll be. But FGO will be represented at SakuraCon, at specifically Aniplex of America's Games panel. And in the note, they do point out that they will be talking about not just FGO, but also Mahoyo and Disney Twisted Wonderland. So it's not going to be a pure FGO panel. I don't know if we'll have, like, proper FGO, like, guests or something. I assume probably Albert will be there, because I'm pretty sure he's, like, Aniplex of America's head localization guy. He's working on a lot of projects in the Aniplex pipeline.
Yeah.
But, personally, I am expecting this is going to be the Grail Live pre-release start and the announcement of it coming, which is why I wrote the pregame already, because, it may or may not come out in different weeks. We have been known to shave some corners there. Also, it will be a panel at a convention, so probably 10 St. Courts from this. Maybe more, but probably thereabouts. Just speculating. Obviously, well, actually, I don't know. We may or may not know. It's 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time, so this episode will probably be live to it'll almost assuredly be live to everybody before then, so keep your eyes peeled for this news. We'll be sure to update you if it's anything super crazy on what's up. But otherwise, I'm just going to stick to my guns and assume we are going to start showing promo material for Grail Live. Because there's a lot of promo material for Grail Live, if you guys don't remember. There's many, many videos which show off costumes like every day. But stay tuned for that pregame, and that is basically everything in our news. Our Muse news.
Our Muse news. A snooze.
We're trucking along.
We're trucking along. So, with that, let us switch gears and move on over to this week. Let's talk FGO mailbag. The segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. It was totally intentional, but I fired off the mailbag only this morning, and we still got 7. I'm starting to think like 7 and 10 is just our range now.
Yeah, I kind of just feel like it's probably because there's not a lot like going on in FGO, but it feels like there's only so much juice we can summon out of the audience. I remember when we used to have to cut off mailbag because we'd get like 20 or 30 and would be like, well, we're gonna be here for like 4 hours. But those were usually around major story releases or character releases and shit. So we'll see when Lost Boat 6 stuff starts happening how much mail we get. Anyway, 7 comments, 7 letters in the mailbox, in the sack of mail.
In the sack of mail.
I don't know why, but I reflexively winked to the invisible camera.
And it's just practice. Just practice. So, let's get started. The first one here comes from Backup Omega Cell Agent. I think this person does have just personal bias towards you. I just feel this. But they say, hello handler and extraplanar artist. I'm writing this out to you guys while sitting at one of my quietest days at work. I was juggling with something about the latest best of compilation that people should go watch and listen to on this very channel.
Do my job for me.
Yeah, I know. It's very weird. Like predictions you wish you were wrong or were right instead of what we got, but I feel like that isn't really thought-provoking. Oh, great, we're going for thought-provoking here. What came to me after more trial and error was the particular showing of that there being class-based skill trees for Oreo Call. Okay, so this has nothing to do with our best of compilation. What do you guys think mechanically or systematically would be unlockable upgrades for those trees? Would just small percentiles be all that it is, or would it get weirdish with like added immunities or make innate crit chances? The verbiage isn't wrong, but it feels a little too fancy for my usual tongue. Blech. As all year 1 players, there's probably something that we could all hope it can do. Have a good evening, and hopefully you've both had some decent amount of sleep or food in you.
So, slow day at work, huh?
Well, considering how many, what's your word count here, I believe it.
A lot of time to work on that one. Yeah, think we speculated a little last week, but they still have not revealed the skill trees, the class system thing. I don't even remember if they gave it a hard and fast name. Or whether or not the wiki will translate as 4 more things. But, yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of things we could go here. I guess the question is, it really depends on how they handle this. Is it a thing where you, put in mats and currency and, get out buffs? Or is it more of, a milestone thing, Which we don't know.
We don't know.
If it's, an active thing you upgrade, I expect those buffs are probably going to be a little spicier than if they're just, a passive, tier-up system, because players are going to put resources into it, which usually the game wants you to get more out of. It really, it all depends on a lot of factors here and how long-running they're going to do this, but it could be really simple, There's lots of little things you can get super, tiny bonuses for. You could get, 1%, damage up that turns into 2, turns into 3, which isn't a lot, but if you apply it to an entire class, that can really add up, obviously.
Mm.
And even if it caps out at 5 or 10% damage bonus all the time, I mean, how much do you guys, remember getting your 50 or 100% damage bonus on? It's quite something. So yeah, I could see small incrementals, or it could be more concrete and tailored. Somebody in our patron chat's bringing up basically comparisons to the append skills, which would be pretty weighty if it was more in that direction,
Mm-hmm.
Getting, mana loading for, again, even if it's 5 or 10% NP starting, if that's class-wide, that's very strong, So there's a lot of stuff that it could be. I'd personally probably just kind of I don't know, hope for decent reward for, like I said, probably milestone-based, putting your effort into your classes, leveling them up, and the game is you've really got a lot of sabers. Here you go. Here's some saber buffs. What do you think, Lucky?
Really don't have any different thoughts on it myself. As long as it's something that is not too tedious to level, I can go either way, because no matter what, we're going to have to progress our power somehow, so...
Yeah, this is a thing we talk about a lot, both on What's Up and also on Final Fantasy XIV streams every week, because that game is an MMO. It just is an MMO. It's not necessarily a particularly PvP-focused one, but it is an MMO. There's lots of different players, there's players meeting together. FGO doesn't have quite the same constraints, given that it is almost entirely single-player, but there's definitely, I think, similar levels of, making the player feel progress both in story and mechanics, and the idea that you gotta keep the players coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
People aren't going to pay for their FF14 subs if they don't have anything to do in FF14, and people aren't going to, consider spending money to get St. Courts and roll the gacha unless they are playing FGO more, whether that's they want the new unit you've showed off for the sake of a unit or the class or whatever. So, I am personally also hoping that it probably won't be too much make work. That said, I do kind of feel honestly, a lot of FGO's adjustments to, difficulty and progress over the last couple of years, since the switch to Part 2, but especially since the Losengo switch, almost feels like trying to streamline the tedium, Mm-hmm. That's when we got the inclusion of getting more mats as you do more main story clear, getting extra sync courts for story clears as well, but also, they added, the basic bitch tutorial missions, which is a thing that I think, every gacha game has now, when FGO started, I don't think that was as common, but that's pretty industry standard to give you, rookie tutorial missions hey, learn how to do this basic stuff, get some basic currency. But, there's the teapots for extra bond gathering, there's the leyline stones to make restarting story content easier, going through faster. And there's, I think especially, advanced quests as well with, okay, you gotta do a little work to gather all your stuff as they kind of roll it out, but you can definitely, punch up your drop rates to make it all flow better if you're willing to put in the time. So that's probably where this is gonna go. I think the only thing that, borders on the tedious is the over 100 level cap.
Yeah.
Just because it needs so much fucking EXP. But that's, I think at least, that's still essential. Obviously, actually leveling your servants to 120 is really fucking strong, but it's not required for any content, right?
Right.
It's still in that avenue where we talk about, grailing for love. It's going to take you a lot of grails and a lot of effort, and it's rewarding, but not required. App-end skills sometimes feel a little bit more, spiced in there. Make sure you get your that extra battery goes a long way for several servants. So yeah, I think it'll be in that vein. It hopefully won't be too tedious. But honestly, this is all just rampant speculation until they actually, pull the trigger on there. I kind of feel like the way that the Spirit Leafs worked out is kind of how we were thinking it would work last week, but that's just because it's a new currency exchange system, so that's not too hard to brain. This is, they got a whole new UI for this, guys. So it's really anybody's game with FGO.
But I think I'm going to put the kibosh on this, and we're going to move on, because we've been here for a minute.
Let's slip and slide on out of here.
Yep.
To the next
one. To the next one. This next one comes from Procrastinator posed super early since he has to go grind IRL work to get paid Saint Quartz. They say, when do you guys think they'll do Lost Room collab? In addition, good luck to those who are rolling for Hokusai and Dapper Older Gentlemen. Also, go watch the Lost Belt 1 compilation after you're done with this video. Yes, I'm chilling. I have lost all self-consciousness long ago.
God, I thought.
Okay, we're 2 for 2 for people.
I thought I was going to do some work. Damn. Hey, listen. I appreciate it. It's very middle of the pack in views, but it's getting a lot of engagement. I'm glad to see you people leaving the comments. We'll see if by the time we get to like Lost Belt 3 or 4, you're still this excited. Jeez.
And if we're talking about Moonlight Lost Room, I don't think we're necessarily going to do a collab on that. That is just a single OVA. It's more of a...
Well, I think they mean Dancing in the Moonlight Lost Room. But that's Grail Live.
Yeah.
Also, not... Honestly, it's funny. As I did the pregame for Grail Live, well, yes, like, the costumes and stuff they do are references, and obviously, some of the music is lifted from there, structure-wise, it doesn't really seem that related to whatever the story, quote-unquote, of Moonlight Lost Room was.
Did it have a story?
I mean, it had some sort of, from what I understand from people who, like, downloaded the app, the JP version, it had some sort of progression, but I don't know if it had, like, story. So, I don't know necessarily. I believe there was, like I said, some kind of progress you made to unlock more songs and stuff. All right, yeah, people in patron chat are saying it has story. Okay, so there are dialogue boxes and things. Yeah, it's sad not to get that content, but at the same time, like I said, at least looking at the way the Grail Live is phrased, while they obviously used, Moonlight Lost Room as inspiration for kind of the theming and, like I said, the costumes. Plot-wise, just from, like, looking at it at a high level, it looks a lot more like Grail Live is, another secret Saber Wars sequel. We found another thing we can add the word to, and yes, you're gonna hate it. Anyway, as for when they're gonna do it, I mean, I can't call my shot in a specific day, though. Let's see, when does the rank up technically end? The 9th? Yes, that probably means that, like, the pre-release would probably start, like, Sunday or Monday. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to start like on a Friday or Saturday. When are events ending these days? Because we're on like a 2-ish week schedule. Stuff keeps cycling around, so it's hard to keep it straight because they move stuff. But Fridays or Saturdays are usually good.
Yep. So with that, we shall move on. This next one comes from Soul of the Light Mode Discord. Yeah, I'm just gonna wince at that. I am just blinded thinking about it.
When I did the vampire hiss, I did the vampire, hand gesture, like shield my eyes.
As you do. But they go on to say, "Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes. Wah 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 wah. And wishing you well. Keep up the great work. P.S. I don't know what I said there. Really enjoyed the Lost Belt recap. Looking forward to the rest."
Lucky, I think you've somehow managed to jump questions in the middle of that.
Did I?
Yeah, because that's not from Light Mode Discord.
Oh, you're right. I did. Son of a bitch.
They are both talking about vibes.
Okay, I am not here, I guess. So, once again, from the top, this is from Soul of the Light Mode Discord saying, "Hey guys, first time writing in, but wanted to ask this for a while. If wah 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 is sending the good vibes, then is Murasaki's wah 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 her taking the good vibes? And if so, whose is she taking? Well, I hope you both enjoy your week. Stay bright Wah. No. Clearly Murasaki is generating good vibes. She just produces them.
Yeah, I'm about to say, she's not sending them, she's just kind of,
Or taking them, just
letting them
generating them. I mean, don't you feel a little bit better when you see Murasaki making that noise? I know I do.
Nod.
So, all right. Now, let's do this properly, and we move on to the next one. The next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending the good vibes and wishing you well. Wah. Keep up the great work. P.S. Really enjoyed the Lost Belt recap. Looking forward to the rest. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that recap was, fun fact, I did not plan it this way, but we recorded that episode almost exactly 3 years ago.
Wow.
That was still back when there was Ghost Lucky.
Jesus.
Lost Belt took a long time, guys.
Man, it really did. Jeez.
It'll be very interesting to see like our tech and sound quality and our opinions, slowly warping over time.
Oh. So, let us move on. This next one comes from Agent 418, who says, Hello, Lucky Omega. Have a good weekend. Wow face.
Wow.
Is that the... Oh, I think that's the wow emote. I need to make a better wow emote.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
It's a very silly emote. Alright. Moving on to the last one here.
And there should be 2 left. Unless I'm miscounting. Math? There's 7.
I'm only counting 6.
1 has disappeared. Did somebody take back their mailbag mid-mailbag?
I don't know.
What the fuck? I don't even think I can get it back, because it's fucking... I refreshed the page. It's gone forever. I really wish I had a button for the fucking X-Files theme right now. Anyway, the last one then.
Oh, fucking... Okay. I refreshed mine again, just in case I was being weird. Agent 418 is now at the bottom.
It's because that other person took it out. Somebody corrected the timeline, Lucky. We have just witnessed time cops in action. The timeline was fucked. Somebody fixed it. The timeline's back.
Oh, wild. Well, Agent 418 is back where they belong, but now I have to... Oh, here it is. Okay. The last one here, technically, Agent 418, don't what you were. You're actually at the bottom. But the last one here comes from the Tyrant King plotting his gotcha expenses for the next 4 months. I mean, fucking fair. That's gonna be all the way till, Well, actually, I don't know if they'll necessarily put you at this year's summer, because if I remember correctly, this year's summers was quite late.
Yeah, we'll see how that actually works out for us, because normally we're early, but that definitely puts you past anniversary. Should that definitely puts all of Lost Belt 6 in 4 months?
It was 3 parts, right? Like,
yeah.
1 half, then the second half, and then the final bit?
Yeah. Yep, something like that.
And then Annie. But they say, question, with the Golden Lad collab coming up next week, maybe, for us, which part... There's comments here, as I just realized. Question, with the Golden Week collab coming up next week, maybe. For us, which part are you looking forward to most? Also, which arcade costume would you want for us to get most on mobile? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah. And hope you have a great Easter. Omega, have you seen the fucking, Easter is not Ishtar post circulating Twitter, by the way?
No, I have not actually.
It's hilarious. Someone actually, I don't know if this is old or new or something, but someone posted a fucking, an image explaining how, Ishtar is the, origin of the Easter holiday. And some people are just like, no! And it's slightly hilarious.
I think I remember that at least a similar, meme circulation from last year, but I don't remember seeing it this year.
It might have been from last year, but it's making the rounds. By the way, with the Golden Week collab, are we talking about ours or theirs?
Probably theirs. For us in about a week, so I think it means the one upcoming Grail Live.
Okay, well, for ours, easy. Tomacat costume.
Yeah, costumes.
She's gonna be actually, I don't even know what they call it, just a roller skate server? It's great.
I feel like there is a specific name for being a roller skate waitress, but I do not remember it.
Well, they're not really a thing nowadays.
No, that's a super retro thing. Do they wear roller skates at Sonic Drive-Ins?
No. I'm pretty sure that is considered a safety hazard nowadays. to try and serve food and wear any sort of wheeled device.
Yeah. Also, just in general, you'd have to probably fully pad up, which kind of ruins some of your costuming a little. As a person who did actually rollerblade as a kid, it's a extensive kit, because you've got the roller blades, knee pads, elbow pads, wrist pads. Technically, the plate is in your palm, but and then helmet. But it's Time Cat. She's a berserker. She doesn't care about helmets. But yeah, no. For me, definitely costumes or maybe some of those rank ups that are pretty sweet. But let's see. I've pulled up the list of arcades. Crimes against humanity. Car Hop? Is that the official name? I think that's the style of restaurant, but that may also be what we call it.
If we're talking about costume, even if it's just a costume, give me Santa Suzuka.
It's a pretty good one. Yeah, that's a high on their list. But let's see. So, their sins are pretty thorough. Let's see, because they've gotten full costume versions of several of those traveling CEs and stuff. So there's the dress version of Ishtar and Aresh. They've got the dress costume for Carmilla.
I definitely would want the Carmilla one too, just in general.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. There's Red Riding Hood Mary, which I don't know why the fuck they got, because they didn't even do that event. I don't think. Actually, I don't know. Is Voyager in? I don't know if they did the event, but I don't remember if Voyager's in arcade or not. There's the evening dress versions of both Jean and Jolter, which the casual is cool, but there's the suit for Salter and for Jack. Terrifying. There's Waver in a cool jacket. And even, there's simple stuff, like the different hairstyles. That's got, shit like hair down Artoria and Nero. I don't remember. Do we actually get Glasses Caesar? Can't remember if that's an actual sprite we got. If not, that's an arcade. Fucking Medusa with a braid. I think this is Twin Tails time though?
Ben's most egregious.
Ponytail Liz, very powerful, but yes,
Fair.
No. And obviously Ponytail Drake, but it's only the ponytail. It's not the costume from Extella Link yet. So FGO Mobile, you could fix this. You could go whole hog.
They put it in fucking Lost Belt 5.5.1, so
yeah, they have. Wada Arco's already drawn you the art. Also, I'm gonna be honest, it's Wada Arco. I'm not sure she hasn't already drawn it just in the background for keeps for later. There is also, apparently, Proto Merlin Lady Avalon in a hat. And there's, several other here. Let me see. They call it Mochi Mochi Rama. Yeah, I think it's just Sita with a cute Rama plush on her head. It's fucking ludicrous.
Ludicrously cute.
Also true. But yeah, just, the palette swap is interesting. That's probably much easier to do in a sprite-based game. You just do the color swaps. That could be interesting.
I'm not really that necessarily sold on palette swaps, though.
No, it's funny, but I would not want that in place of some of the costume options that Arcade has. It's just the fighting game palette swaps are amusing. They are cute sometimes, but that is not what I would necessarily be holding out for.
But sorry, I'm just trying to think.
Look at Jack. Look at her little boots. And also, full waistcoat. And obviously, listen, I don't even have Gil. I don't even like Gil that much. But his Battle in New York trench coat look, it's very good. It's a good look. We did at least get, I don't remember what order we did, but we got Bunny Skahawk, so yeah. All is not lost. And the Carmella one for good measure, chat. Look upon you, work upon these works, ye mighty in despair. It's still pretty good. The fucking... She's wearing, it's got the framework of a bustle dress, but you can't even see the bustle. That's got to be heavy as fuck. But also, just in general, Carmilla doesn't get enough love. Anyway, there you go. Costumes, we want them. We want more costumes. It's fucking great that there's nine costumes in this Grail Live, and there's gonna be literally 15 fucking Glasses costumes when that White Day comes around in a year. Keep doing more of this, FGO. Give me big costume dumps. Even if you only do it once a year, give me give me 10 costumes. But I think that's about all we got on that.
I believe so as well. Thank you very much for submitted, and whoever sent in that one that vanished into the void, I hope it comes back.
It's funny because I believe they were talking about time warping anyway. So.
Oh Jesus, really?
Yes, it's because you accidentally call this mailbag for the 31st, which it is not.
Oh, I fixed that later.
Maybe that's why they decided to change it.
Maybe.
Timeline is corrected. There is no time paradox, Snake. But talking about all those costumes, this is a perfect time to move right on into our Grail Live pre-game. Once again, I am going forward with the idea that the Grail Live is probably sooner than you think. I think somebody said in the patron chat earlier, the pre-game only went on for the pre-release campaign only went on for 5 days before they actually started it, so might have a little less time than usual, and we've definitely been racking up the speed at a couple of opportunities, so I think it's good to get this one out of the way and get in here. So Grail Live is going to be our collab this year, kind of. And will be, yes, it is the MIXA, the Mysterious Idol X Altar. It will be a time-gated point ladder event. Yay! This means if you are new, main quests will unlock every day, and you will do free quests to get Idolium points. Also, there's 3 kinds of Idolium. Yay! Joy!
That is not a joy voice.
No, this is not my joy voice. Yeah, it's not as bad as Summer 3, but it's Summer 3 again. At least you don't got a time loop. There's also actually a decent amount of bulk to the main story. There's going to be a prologue and 9 acts of story. This will net you a copy of the 3-star CE, the temporary, and then the permanent MIXA, MIXA, 10 Saint Quartzes, under Grail, and at least 1 NP copy of MIXA, and also Mash's Idol costume. That's right, you get an NP for main story clearance. Also, you unlock MIXA permanently in Act 3, not in, Act 9. You only get her temporary for, a day. It's very weird.
Good.
Oh, no, it is good.
Because usually you can't put in supports and whatnot into their permanent, so
yeah. Usually
people don't get to actually use their welfare support, which usually has strong bonuses until the very end. It's always very weird.
Yeah. He did robot a little there, but I understood him. It is definitely kind of a thing, because usually the welfare gets one of the best event bonuses, so yeah, it's kind of hard to use them. This will actually let you do that sooner. Also, by the way, clearing the acts will unlock the idol costumes in the shop for no exchange cost. But remember, getting the key to unlock the costume is not the same as actually unlocking the costume. To unlock the costumes and actually equip them, you will need the idol unlock ticket, which is available from the points ladder, but you will get access to the costume keys in the store through main story progress. No, I don't think there's any ascension mats in the main story, but you can get them out of point ladder clearance fairly early. And also from other places. I'll mention this later as well, but I think in an effort to prevent, inflating the point ladders and stuff, the rewards in this are a little scattershot. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's actually cover main quests. You gotta work through that to get your Grail and get your permanent welfare and all this fun stuff. And honestly, there's gonna be a lot of pips in these main quests. Some are no battles, but there's gonna be some pips in there. However, in general, I feel like this event is written to be one of those big entry-level events. Most quest enemies are pretty baby.
Babu.
Yeah, your mobs, which I accidentally wrote as mobst with a T.
Mobsters?
Yeah. Well, there'll be some Yakuza enemies, so yes. But most of your mobs are going to average, 10k HP. Your bosses are going to be, 30 to 40k HP with only a couple break bars. There will be some permanent buffs. There will be some break bar shenanigans. Auto-charging NP or giving your team a debuff. However, there are also story buffs in a lot of these main quests, some of which trigger for you on break bars. So, it's kind of a mixed bag. It seems very dynamic. Expect to see a lot of casters, berserkers, and riders, a few assassin bosses as well. And there are a couple of fights which get a little beefier and more complex, so I'm going to shout out a couple of them. In Act 5, you're going to have a caster and assassin duo. They have a chance to inflict sleep on hit and poison on hit, respectively, and do bonus damage to their debuffed enemies. You cannot remove the sleep debuff that gets applied to you through normal debuff cleanse, but it should still go away when you get clocked, because Oberon's Forever Sleep is not in the code yet, I don't think. But yeah, it's a low chance per hit to inflict sleep, but still, watch out for them spicy stuns. I believe you can be immune to it debuff-wise, yes, because it still counts as a debuff.
Sounds like a mental debuff.
Yeah. Act 6 is just a gauntlet. You gotta go through, 4 boss fights in a row, and then a wombo combo, a team-up. The first fight in this sequence is going to be an assassin who has 84k and then 116k, so we're starting to get on that higher end of EHP. They get a charge on hit when using an arts card, and they randomly debuff you at the end of their turn, and their defense is increased from debuffed enemies. There are follow-up fights, including a rematch with that assassin, but with a much smaller HP pool and much simpler buffs and debuffs. I just figured I would warn you guys about the random debuffs into defense up, just because, you know. Also, they're an AoE assassin, so you'll want to watch out for that shit. In Act 8 is kind of your final boss. There's going to be a caster who's going to have 26k, 39k, 70k HP, and there's going to be a giant ghost. The giant ghost has 27k and 36k HP across 2 bars. When you break its first bar, the giant ghost is going to get permanent debuff immunity and permanent special damage resistance. But at their last HP bar, the caster gets an infinite guts. But when their guts procs, that's when the giant ghost loses their special resistance and actually gets damage resistance down. So you got to try and, like, you know, wait for the caster to use their NP and you know, cycle through that, or use their guts by killing them and stuff like that. And then that'll expose the ghost. And after you defeat the ghost, the caster enemy will get permanent NP seal. So you're going to have to do some back and forth. Also, yes, challenge impossible. Don't put a giant ghost in there. That said, there's actually one more act, if you were listening. There's 9 acts of main story. Act 9 is just a fucking clusterfuck reprise of all the enemies from previous story. There's 13 servants across 2 pips in 3 waves. I am not going to be able to detail all the different stuff they do. Just hold on and you'll be okay. They're not that hard. It's just, it's a big splashy finish. You know, it's, I believe the quests are literally titled something like The Show Must Go On. So, it's the, you know, I don't know how much our audience is up on musical theater, but it's, you know, the big reprise at the end, the grand finale. You get all the extras to come back and sing out the final piece. Now, for these quests, you're going to have a mixture of story supports. Obviously, this is going to be Miss Crane's debut event, so she will be a story support through a lot of it. You're also going to see a decent amount of Maeve and Tamamo Cat. Yes, that's right. Not only is Tamamo Cat a bonus unit, but she's also going to show up a lot in story support. And then they do a very interesting thing. Obviously, there are some one-off story supporters, but they do an interesting thing where some quests will require you to put Mysterious Idol X in your party, and others will equip you with a story support of Mysterious Heroine X Alter, and you're not going to be able to put your MIXA in, because I guess she's busy being, you know, Echan. I guess. I think that's what we're going for here. So there's some swinginess there. I do at least appreciate that the MHXA stuff tends to be towards the back end of the story, you know, so when the content ramps up in difficulty, they're like, here, have a free Berserker. If your welfare unit's not fully leveled and you haven't got their Ascension mats yet, you don't need to worry about that one too much. Okay. So, in addition to story support, there is a robust bonus servant list. I'm going to need to take deep breaths for this. As normal. Also, by the way, this is all points ladder bonus. There's no damage bonus for this. So it's just points grind. Miss Crane and MIXA give you plus 30% point values and 50% bond gain. Altera, Nero, Urale, Liz, Maeve, Ushi, Helena, Nitocris, Shuten, Serenity, MHXA, Kat, John, and Mash, basically all the costume girls plus MHXA, give you 20% bonus points and 20% bonus bond. Mash obviously does the 5% to everybody, as she usually does when she's a bonus servant. And then Artoria, Okita, Gawain, Siegfried, Summer Maeve, Rama, Lancelot, Bedivere, Arjuna, that's regular Arjuna, mind you, Ishtar, Ashwataman, Calamity Jane, Tristan, Kid Gil, Billy the Kid, Paris, Nobukatsu, Karna, Skahak, Bryn, Jonda Arc Center, Alta Lily, the Valkyries, Oz, Ryder Da Vinci, Alexander, Little Alexander, not Big Iskander, Scheherazade, Big Da Vinci, Nursery Rhyme, Billy Shakes, Jack, Summer Nito, Sasaki Kojiro, Ibaraki, Summer Nobu, Kiyokoyo, Kiyohime, Jolter, Abigail, Hokusai, and Voyager all give 10% points and 20% bond. I told you it is a robust list. I appreciate robust bonus servant lists. It's a long list to make, but hopefully your servant support list can be very full this coming season. So there's a wide variety of units. Yeah, I'm very glad there are filters. It's a lot of guys. I'm not even, other than the fact that I think these are the units they picked for some, side quest content. Obviously, there's main story characters and there's, little bonusy quests. I'm not really sure what the rhyme or reason was here. Other than that, some of these are alternate versions, and some of these share voice actresses who obviously are also vocalists, but it's not universal, But you'll notice there's a lot of Maya Sakamoto characters on this list, for instance. But it's not purely by voice actress, because obviously, there's only Summer Maeve. There's not, like, Musashi on this list. So it's not crazy. Free quests are thankfully much simpler than all that. You're looking at our usual, thank God this is the standard now, monoclass or mixed berserkers. Your mobs will max out at around 30 to 40k HP. Bosses will max out at around 180k HP. As usual, after you unlock some point milestones, there will be some 90++ nodes that have the wacky waves, and those bosses are more like 200k HP. This is mostly to maximize your point drops, but you will have options for like regular 90-ish nodes that are still simpler. So you don't have to go apeshit, but if you can go apeshit, you can go apeshit,
Go
Usual
apeshit.
for FGO. There are also what are called, I assume will be called anyway, live quests, which unlock at certain point milestones. These are your usual, special bonus quest things. They're like baby challenge quests. They're usually against specific bosses. They will grant you extra EXPs, mats, or MIXA copies. I think also you might have some one of our Ascension mats in here. And some of you may remember this from a couple years ago, but this will have the special center mechanic. There will be a slot in your lineup. The middle slot is labeled the center slot. The servant you put in the center slot gets stars per turn, bonus star weight, bonus crit damage. Also, if you use one of the idol servants in this slot, the girls who have costumes, it'll play their music as the BGM.
I love that little detail, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. There are also just 3 quests that are marked as extra quests for the 3 command codes, so they're just going to be in your quest list. Nothing crazy there. But, considering the possible costume units, that's going to be pretty good depending on what unit you do. Put your DPS in the middle. Okay. So the point ladders. There's 3 point ladders. They're like, dance, song, appearance, whatever. They're red, green, and blue. Each one goes 1,000,000 deep. 1,000,000 points. When you're doing the highest level nodes, each individual point drop is worth like 1,400 or 1,500, and you're going to get percentile bonuses, so 1,000,000 each isn't crazy. The main thing is just that because there's 3 currencies, you're going to need to do different quests to do different leveling. So, each one of these 3 contains 1 copy of the event CE, and each contains 1 copy of your MIXA mats, at least each. So that's where you get 3 of those. They contain the various exchange tickets. It's usually 3, but some are 4. There's 1 summon ticket in each, and at the end, at 1,000,000, there's a crystallized lore in each. Also, in all of them, they're at least trying to make it worth your while. There's a fuck ton of QP. We're talking multiple 2,000,000 QP drops. There's lots of MP and apples, and many, many mats, such as Magatamas, pages, crystals, horns, soaps, cores, horseshoes, spiritrons, and comet shards. So, they're trying to make it worth your while, and it is smaller. It is only 1,000,000 each. So, hopefully it should work out. The event shop will contain 2 more copies of the event CE. That's right, baby. All 5 copies available for free. No RNG here. You just gotta remember to grind your points. The CEs are usually pretty early in the list. Let me actually double check. I think it was 300k, but it might be lower. To the Grail Live. And the points ladders. Alright, point rewards. Yes, the CE is at 300k. Your MIXA mats are at 100k points. So, pretty reasonable. The main thing you're going to want to be worried about is those costume exchange tickets are fairly deep. Those are at 400k or higher, but some of them start as early as 50k. And obviously, if you want those sweet, sweet golden foes and you want those crystallized lures, you got to go deep. But
Deep.
There's actually, hold on, I can do math. Let's see, that's what, 5 1,000,000s, so 5,000,000, 4 2,000,000, so that's 8,000,000. So 5 plus 8 is 13, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 500Ks. Wow, they're trying really hard not to make this an even number, but... So that's what? 4.5 million? 500K 7 times? So 4.5, 13... 17.5 million per point ladder? That's pretty good. If you want to go deep. And, like I said, more apples, more mana prisms, more mats. So should be a decent time there. And obviously not the worst as total points. And you're going to get bonuses. The event CE gives you increased point bonuses. It's 30% per copy, and I think it's 50% ML bead. So that's nice.
Very
it
nice.
also has another little bonus. Is it bonus damage when only on those guys, or let me see. Oh no, it's one of these. So based on where you are in your Idolium points, it gives you between 10 and 100% quick arts and buster performance. So the further you are in the point ladder, the easier it gets to do big damage. You get 30% drops. And just in general, the CE Blossoming Under the Crimson Sky is pretty good. It gives you permanent sure hit, 10% crit damage, and start the battle with 30% NP gauge. That'll be 50% ML lead. So,
ooh.
Yeah, I love it when event bonus CEs or NPCEs. So get ready to get schwacking, everybody.
Yeah, schwacking.
Fire off those charges. All right, so that's the point ladder. The event shop, like I said, that's got 2 more of the event CEs. That'll contain your usual foes and EXPs, and mats such as gunpowders, dragon fangs, gears, stingers, feathers, oil lamps, rainbow yarns, mirrors, pomegranates, and also Lancer, Caster, and Berserker statues, and one of MHXA's Ascension mats. So that should be all the copies throughout there, because it's only 4, so 1's in the store, 3 are in the points ladders. Now, this is where I have to get into the Speculum zone.
Speculum.
But originally, there were only 2 banners for this. But because they were rotating banners with multiple SSRs, we're probably going to get more like 4. The first summon campaign in JP was a rotation between Miss Crane and MHXA, with Nito and Serenity up all the time, plus CEs. So that will probably be 2 separate banners, 1 for Miss Crane, 1 for MHXA, and then Nito and Serenity will be on both, if you need to catch up on those. It's good to see MHXA come back. And then there's going to be a second wave about a week later. That should be, judging by the way that rotates, that'll probably be Maeve and Cat, Tombo Cat, on one day, or one sequence, and then Altera and Nero on another, Ushi on all, plus CEs again. So, giving you a decent splash of servants there, though obviously everybody's kind of chomping at the bit, because we think Lost Belt 6 is right around the corner. But there will also be more rank ups. So, Mysterious Heroine X alters NP gets more damage, and more damage against good enemies. 50% bonus damage versus enemies with the good alignment. Nitocris's first skill, regular Nito, will be buffed to not just heal herself, but also the whole party. Extends the 1k to 3k heal to the team, and gives her an arts buff for 3 turns. Serenity will now get a arts buff for 3 turns as well on her third skill, and also now will just give enemies poison with her arts cards for 3 turns. That's nice. And Maeve's golden body skill, her golden rule body, will now also give male or fairy trait allies a 20 to 30% battery. I wonder what we're building up towards.
Actually, will we have any fairy traits before Lost Belt 6?
I believe Maeve herself counts. I'm not sure if anybody else counts yet. But when Lost Belt 6 drops, it will add a lot of them. Let me actually check the trait. Them traits. Oh, yeah, actually, no. Wow, even Maeve herself doesn't count. So, technically, no. Nobody gets the fairy buff yet. They just made sure to pre-program it. Once we get through Lost Belt 6, there's going to be a lot of them. So, yeah, for now, it's just a battery up for males, but it gets funnier as time goes on. And keep in mind, they've added additional ones. For instance, Brito Mart counts as a fairy unit as well, as you would expect. Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be a very funny buff. I do believe it is male or fairy, so, you can't get double battery for Oberon. But still, juicy, spicy. But honestly, that's about it. It seems a little fiddly with the rewards being all over the place. You've got the store, you've got main story progress, and the live quests, and you've got, 3 points ladders. But does seem to be a pretty low power event. Enjoy collecting your new glams, everybody. Get your new costumes. And that at least is, I feel like, fairly painless. To reiterate, remember, you're going to unlock the costumes in the event store exchange, but then you got to, apply the costumes. You got the keys, but then you got to buy the locks, the lock boxes. Those use the exchange tickets, which are on in the points ladders. Note, in case you somehow do manage to whiff the points ladders, during the event, you must use the exchange tickets to unlock them. After the event, you will be able to pay mats and QP as normal. So you don't need to worry about being locked out of the costumes if you manage to not go high in the points ladders. It's just you may have to wait until after the event to input them. So, a decent spread of stuff. So I'm excited for this one. It seems like I said, there's... Sometimes event stories are very, take it or leave it. I kind of feel like the main story nodes of Akihabara were just kind of, there for the most part.
Yeah.
There were a couple of good scenes, but there was also just a lot of well, you've crossed 10 floors, so we need to put another main quest in here. There are, like I said, no battle pips in this lineup, and there are some, some of these acts go 5 or 6 or 7 pips deep, so I'm hoping there's a decent chunk of story content here. Because obviously not only is this introducing, mysterious Idol X, but also, Miss Crane's got to be introduced in this event, and we hopefully got to give our decent amount of mileage to all of our noob costumed gals. So I'm hoping this one's a little bit more reading heavy, and a little less grindy.
I'd appreciate that, yes.
At the very least, unlike a tower event, you won't have to rotate your team, your party, every quest, so that should be nice. But yeah, there's your pregame. Hopefully everything will proceed well. And I'll be glad to fire in all those costumes. I think I have most of the units for costumes, so that's good.
Very nice.
Yeah, but that's about all we got here. Obviously, the panel will be coming, so, take an eyeball at that one. When it drops, it's probably going to be later the same day this goes public to everybody. Also, if you're watching this, make sure to check out our regular Saturday stream and podcast, What's Up? Talking about stuff and things. We'll be talking about RE4. The Mario movie came out. Seems like there's some interesting dichotomy there. I get to complain about the Amazon fairies. So check it out. It's a good time. Awesome stuff to talk about. It's also a new month, so there's some new month business. You can, as I mentioned before, you can support us on Patreon. You can get access to audio early, get access to videos early. There will be a wanted Miss Crane probably coming sometime this week-ish, depending on the exact timing of when they announce the event and the banners and stuff. But that'll be in the package there somewhere. And $5 and higher level patrons get that early. But 5 and higher patrons can also vote in topic polls, like our monthly Fanservant Friday. So I'm just, rolling through my backlog as far as I know, and your 4 options for this month, the month of April, are Jacques Cousteau Rider, King Laocoon Berserker, La Maupin Saber, and Meleager Lancer. Currently, King Laocoon is at the forefront, but not by much. You still got about a weekish left at this point for this poll to finish up, and there's still some wiggle room given there, but, maybe people are in the werewolf mood this April.
April is for werewolves?
Sure. Hashtag April is for werewolves, everybody. Post it in the comments. But there's also, a few other things you can check in. As people did mention, this is something I talked about, doing kind of a build-up to Lost Belt 6 by trying to re-edit together all of our old discussions, our deep dives on our Lost Belts. Did some work throughout this week making sure to edit that all together and work on the graphics package. I'm glad to see several comments of liking the thumbnail. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's always good to hear, but that stuff I decided to post that to patrons, so there is a specific audio version, and there's an early release of the video as well, so more incentives, more fun times. But I think that's all of our FGO business, everybody. Look alive for new banners and new news.
Yeah.
And we'll be coming at you next week with another episode. We're back here every week. I don't know if there'll be any JP news by then, because... Let me see. Technically, JP is between events, kind of. They have the Spring Aid campaign, but that is just, ongoing for, most of this month. The Evocation Festival is going on until the 16th, so I don't know if we'll get a, proper brand new event release ahead of... Probably should be something in front of the Golden Week Festival, the new collab. I know everybody's anticipating the arcade collab, but... There probably is time enough for one more thing in the month of April in JP. I don't know what that'll be. Maybe it'll be another round of, strengthening quests, class banners, or something. But, don't know. Have no guidance to speculate on there. But, for us in NA, obviously, probably Grail Live soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And as usual, obviously, we do, lots of other stuff. Not only can you support us on, Patreon for stuff, but in general, videos come out. Keep your eye out for Wanted. Make sure to check out our streams. Monday, we'll be back streaming more RE4. Tuesday, we stream the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series Fail Portrayal, where me and the boys yell at Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and also often at each other.
Expecting there's more yelling at each other then. You only got each other, then at the cards.
Listen, it's a pretty even mix. But sometimes chat gets in on the action. They get to yell at Dallas, so you two can tune in. Wednesday, as I mentioned, we stream Final Fantasy XIV. I am deep in the Heavensward.
Deep.
Luckily not deep in a flying sky whale. Oh, though, I don't, you logged off by that point, but I don't know if you knew, but I did accidentally Dragoon jump off the platform. I have done it, everybody. I jumped backwards and died. Not even intentionally, I just hit the wrong button. I wanted to go to the other hotbar, and I missed the hotbar.
Well, now you can call yourself a true Dragoon.
Yes, I have become Die. But be sure to check that out, and depending on how far Lucky gets on Monday and how he's feeling, we might be back Thursday for more Resident Evil. I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see. It's not that long of a game.
It's not that long a game, but depending on how the game decides to fuck me over next time, who knows? It might take me longer. I am not good at video games. Like, I actually tried the fights a couple more times just to see if there was like a strat I can do, and I'm just like, no, it's in the hands of fucking God and anime. Fuck.
Yeah, that was I mentioned this on stream. That fight for me was just a grind. It took me a couple tries, and it was just like I said, you got to clear all the ads and then just fucking crouch and poke those last couple guys. Stand for the guys in the back. Jesus Christ, you got a lot of gumption. I'm not fucking around with those Wolverine boys. Or are you talking about the ads? Oh, of course there is. Of course. There's a reward. I'm not fucking with that reward.
Isn't it just more CP?
Yeah, actually, if it's just challenge points, it's not really that important. You have plenty of points to afford all the models that are cool, and also the costumes and guns. Anyway, RE4, check it out. That's a series we got ongoing. There'll be some number of it, so check it out. I'll just be back with you. I think that's time for the outro, so we can go about our bizno. Hey, if you're watching the video on YouTube, like and subscribe. If I did detailed video edits, I would put the gun here. I do definitely need to look at our soundboard and make sure I can get a gun cocking or gun clicking noise, though, so I can insert it into the video. But I am no longer asking. You will like and subscribe and comment with hashtag April is for werewolves. Do it, or else. My agents are everywhere. Also, even if you're already subscribed, make sure to ring that bell for notifications. You always know when we're posting new videos, when we're streaming. That'll be important for that wanted because, release schedules are screwy. Sometimes wanted comes out, midnight during maintenance. Sometimes I manage to get ahead of time, but it's always good to have your bell rung so you know when it's hitting. Also good for if we do bonus streams. Check it out. You can also join our channel memberships by clicking the join button or the link in the description. It's only $1.99 a month, and you get access to membership badges and emotes. And as I mentioned multiple times before, you can also support us on Patreon and get access to the audio of this episode for as little as $1 a month, or about $10 a year. Higher levels, vote in polls, get access to videos early, have a fun time. That is it from us for Let's Talk FGO this week. We'll be seeing you back next week for more Let's Talk FGO. And I don't really have anywhere else for this outro to go. I should probably come up with a stock standard outro, but I would probably just imitate the YouTubers I watch lots and lots of hours of. So,
we'll workshop them. We'll
work on it.
See, I have a unique opening when I remember it.
Yeah. My stream opening is usually me either yelling, "We're live," or just, some mashup of other things, such as hello and or howdy YouTube. You guys like howdy? Let me know in the comments. Howdy doody. Anyway, good night, everybody.
Tyranny out.